if you just take the UK, for example, or Europe, a lot of the impact investing from a venture capital perspective is coming from public monies. So it's coming from development banks. So these new venture capital firms that are setting up represent the transition from quasi-like NGOs through to, commercial enterprises in terms of capital allocators. And along with that transition, there is this heritage of governance, because this is public money. The development bank is giving, the British Business Bank, right, is one port of call for many new fund managers to go to get their first anchor investor. If your anchor investor is a development bank, you better believe that you have to tick a lot of boxes and answer a lot of questions and be beholden to a lot of scrutiny. So that is one. I'm not saying there's pain with that, but that's one way in which you're seeing the impact investment philosophy filter through into venture capital, because not all venture capital is impact centric or in its ethics or philosophy. So that is happening. And I think, certainly Europe is probably going to, dare I say, lead the way on this, just because of the way in which we are, again, much more mature around regulation, taxonomies, thinking in terms of sustainability and impact. Switzerland houses more impact investors than any other country in the world. The top 10 impact investors are all Swiss. So you'd expect that to trickle through into private market players such as private equity and venture capital.
But just one thing there, is there any risk that this need for regulation to help drive this change might inadvertently pose some barriers to innovation in some ways down the line?
There are always barriers to innovation. There have been, always. Regulation is, on the surface, this kind of like counter current to innovation, because it's rules and it's like risk aversion. But actually, the one thing that FinTech has achieved, I would say, is the merging together of regulation and innovation. And so it's, most countries, most jurisdictions, whether it be within the actual financial regulator itself or the central bank, have what they call kind of sand pits. Our regulator has, almost every jurisdiction does. So regulators have got their heads around the fact that they may not be, regulation always follows a market, right? They kind of let the market run, and then they go, oh, okay, there's consumer protection required here, or systemic risk on its way. We better kick in with control. So what happened with FinTech was, at least one could argue that the regulation began to straddle. It got involved with the innovation. It got to guide innovation and entrepreneurs along their journey. So I think, hopefully, in the world of sustainable finance and what FinTech means in this world, or green FinTech means in this world, there is a comfort factor for policymakers to actually look at innovation in a very different way, because they know it's needed. It's needed as the catalyst for the structural change that they're more worried about, which is big, traditional incumbents not moving fast enough. So it's a really interesting time. I think it's a coming of age for FinTech, really. It struggled to be, it struggled by being on the periphery for the last decade of really trying to kind of, disrupt. Well, it hasn't really disrupted. But now what we're seeing is actually the big tech, the deep tech is needed. These business models, this thinking, these real change agents are needed to actually aid the industries that are needing to transition, and those that underwrite and allocate capital to transition at the pace required to basically, keep us going on this planet.
If you like this video, why not check out the full interview this is an excerpt from? You should see a link to that full interview somewhere here on the screen, and I'll also put one in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it, and do subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date with all my videos as they go live. So thank you so much for watching, and stay curious.